Hurricane Irma's eye smashes into Florida Keys, killing at least 3 as huge storm surge causes widespread flooding and 130 miles per hour tornadoes batter buildings, and Miami Beach is dark after major power outage. The 130 miles per hour eyewall of Hurricane Irma bludgeoned the Florida Keys today, claiming at least 3 victims as storm surges sent seawater gushing through the streets. Miami, given a last-moment reprieve from the worst of the storm, is suffering major electricity cuts as winds and waves knock out power supplies to more than 1 million buildings. Torrents of water rushed through the city of Miami near Biscayne Bay. Irma today claimed her first Florida victim when a man was killed in horror truck crash. Trees and branches are seen after being knocked down by the high winds near Miami. This graphic predicts Hurricane Irma's ever-changing path. Worried workers at the National Hurricane Center try to predict Irma's next move. A tree is seen toppled onto a pickup truck after being knocked down by the high winds. Waves crash over a seawall at the mouth of the Miami River. CNN news presenter gets spattered by Hurricane Irma. Coastal cities and towns could now be swallowed by 15-feet walls of water, said the National Hurricane Center. This is a life-threatening situation, the National Hurricane Center said. Near the coast, the surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. Florida officials say 127,000 people across the state have taken refuge in more than 500 shelters. For the first time, a tropical storm warning has now been issued for the city of Atlanta. Irma claimed its first Florida victim when a man was killed in pickup truck crash as he traveled to collect a power generator. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office said emergency crews found the truck crashed into a tree in Marathon. The Blinkman family shelter in a stairwell as Irma careers over Key West. A swimming pool is swallowed up by floodwaters in Key Largo. Boats are seen battering the shore at a marina in South Beach. Vehicles battle the storms along Ocean Drive in South Beach. The storms first hit Miami late last night. Photos show the truck was almost completely wrapped around a tree. Later, it was reported that 2 other people had died in a head-on crash in Hardee County, southeast of the city of Tampa. The hurricane had previously killed 23 people as it devastated a series of Caribbean islands. Irma is now pummeling southern Florida with calamitous force after the storm's eyewall reached the Keys. The huge storm prompted one of the largest evacuations in U.S. history and is expected to cause billions of dollars in damage to the third most populous U.S. state. Pictures taken by terrified Floridians caught up in the midst of Irma reveal the low-lying Keys being buffeted by winds and heavy rain. Storm surge water floods through Florida Keys as Hurricane Irma arrives. Boats rocked by choppy waves in the normally calm South Beach marina. The force of the storm caused this crane tower to collapse in Miami. Ocean water churns as Hurricane Irma hits the Florida Keys. Meteorologist Mike Seidel of the Weather Channel fights fierce winds and floods in Miami. A biker braves the storms in Bonita Springs, Florida. A fallen tree blocks Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. 4 million people had been told to run for their lives as the killer winds approached. The first thing I ask everybody to do is pray for us, Florida Governor Rick Scott told ABC News. I am very concerned about the West Coast. This storm surge is just deadly. The U.S. National Weather Service, NWS, had earlier warned the area would feel the full brunt of Irma. and the prediction proved accurate with the eyewall hitting shortly after midday UK time. First death reported by Miami police as Hurricane Irma hits the Florida coast. In a tweet, the NWS warned the worst is yet to come, urging those exposed to the Category 4 storm to stay indoors, hunker down away from windows, and to use whatever you have to try and protect yourself from flying debris. Forecasters are now monitoring a crucial shift in Irma's path that could keep the storm's ferocious eye off the southwest Florida coast and over warm Gulf waters. High-rise buildings likely experiencing wind gusts close to 100 miles per hour stay away from windows. Irma NWS Miami, at Miami, September 10, 2017. If the storm swings to the west, Tampa and Miami could be spared the catastrophic head-on blow that meteorologists have been warning about for days. Forecasters warned of storm surges as high as 15 feet, 5 meters, and tornado warnings have also been issued for parts of the state. "This is going to sneak up on people," said Jamie Rome, head of the Hurricane Center's Storm Surge Unit. CNN reporter Kyung Law narrowly avoids being hit by street sign as Hurricane Irma hits Miami Beach. Irma's outer rain bands first lashed the Florida Keys on Saturday night as the massive storm slowly began turning from Cuba's northern coast up into the Florida Strait. Winds of 74 miles per hour, hurricane force, reached Key West in the early hours of this morning UK time, the National Weather Service said. The leading edge of the immense storm bent palm trees and spit rain across South Florida, knocking out power to more than 170,000 homes and businesses, as the eye approached Key West. The streets emptied and shops were boarded up before the wind started to howl. A startling NASA image of the storm hitting landfall. A tornado warning has now been issued over Wellington, Florida. But as the downgraded 130 miles per hour storm again became a Category 4 this morning, its path changes towards west coast cities like Tampa and St. Petersburg. A lone bottle of water sits on empty supermarket shelves as last-minute shoppers made final preparations in Kissimmee. A local resident rides a skateboard before the arrival of Hurricane Irma to South Florida, in Miami Beach. With maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour, Irma is expected to strengthen once more as it moves on from Cuba. Devastating winds, heavy rain and huge waves will batter the state as it braces itself for its most catastrophic storm ever. Irma's eye is expected to cross the lower Florida Keys on Sunday morning local time before driving up the state's west coast in the afternoon. Almost the entire state of Florida is now under hurricane warning, with fears of devastating gales, torrents of rain and a life-threatening storm surges. Because the storm is 350 to 400 miles wide, the entire Florida peninsula was exposed. Forecasters said the greater Miami area of 6 million people could still get life-threatening hurricane winds and storm surge of 4 to 6 feet. The streets of downtown Miami have already started to flood. Bizarre scenes as Hurricane Irma sucks seawater away from Caribbean beaches and rare phenomenon. Social media images show the strength of the storms hitting Florida. Recently planted palm trees lie strewn across the road in Miami Beach. At least 36 million people were under hurricane warning Saturday night, revealed the National Hurricane Center. Some 50,000 people have gone to shelters throughout the state. Media reports say shelters in some areas have been filling up quickly and some people have been turned away. Miami City and Broward County have even imposed curfews to help clear the roads of traffic. Up to 4 million children are in the path of Hurricane Irma, Save the Children has warned, as it announced the deployment of aid workers and supplies to the area. Idiotic kite surfer ignores Florida's state of emergency evacuation order to ride huge waves in Hurricane Irma. There are a multitude of risks to children during storms such as Irma, including storm damage, the chance of separation from parents, and the psychological impacts of natural disaster, said Caroline Miles, the president of Save the Children in the United States. We urge parents to do everything they can to help keep their children safe and out of harm's way, including talking to their children about the storm, filling out an in case of emergency card, and evacuating to shelters or safer areas when told to do so by authorities. Federal Emergency Management Agency Administrator Brock Long earlier warned nowhere would be safe in the Florida Keys. Radar image shows Hurricane Irma barreling towards the Florida coastline. If you didn't evacuate the Keys, you're on your own until we can actually get in there and it's safe, he told CNN Saturday. The message has been clear: the Keys are going to be impacted. There is no safe area within the Keys. And you put your life in your own hands by not evacuating. Waves crash against the southernmost point in Key West. A police car patrols the beach in anticipation for Hurricane Irma. Waves crash against the seafront Boulevard El Malecon, Cuba. You can't survive these storm surges, said Florida Governor Rick Scott. You've got to get out. You've got to evacuate. This storm is coming. Once the storm's here, we can't evacuate anybody. The news caused panic among residents who thought they would escape the worst of Irma's wrath. Carol Walterson Stroud, 60, said, "Tonight, I'm sweating. Tonight I'm scared to death." St. Petersburg local Jeff Beerbaum added, "For 5 days, we were told it was going to be on the East Coast, and then 24 hours before it hits, we're now told it's coming up the West Coast." As usual, the weatherman, "I don't know why they are paid. As many as 170,000 are already without power while a state of emergency was declared for 72 hours in Miami." As many as 170,000 are already without power while a state of emergency was declared for 72 hours in Miami. The outer skirt of the storm has already begun to buffet South Florida. Scott told his state's 20 million residents, "This is your last chance to make a good decision." Tornado caught on video hitting the Florida coastline near Fort Lauderdale as Hurricane Irma threatens landfall. Tens of thousands more were bedding down for the night in temporary shelters across the Sunshine State. Scott warned his state's 20 million residents, "This is your last chance to make a good decision." There are fears the low-lying Florida Keys, where near hurricane-force wind gusts were recorded late on Saturday, will suffer catastrophic damage when Irma strikes. Donald Trump, who gathered his cabinet at Camp David, urged those in the path of the storm to obey all official instructions. "Just get out of its way," he said. "Property is replaceable but lives are not, and safety has to come first." Floodwater rises as Hurricane Irma approaches, swamping property in M. A lone car drives along an empty highway in Miami. Petrol pumps are wrapped up to protect them from high winds. Prime Minister Theresa May said work was taking place with U.S. authorities to ensure British expats and tourists in Florida were protected as millions of locals and visitors flee to safety. But the Foreign and Commonwealth Office has said its ability to provide assistance to British citizens may be extremely limited and advised those affected to make their own contingency plans. Nearly 500 British troops have been sent to Caribbean islands ravaged by Hurricane Irma, as Defense Secretary Sir Michael Fallon said the relief operation was well underway. Overnight, locals published pictures and videos of tornado-like tunnel clouds, often seen shortly before a hurricane hits land. Tornadoes hit the coastline near Fort Lauderdale as Hurricane Irma threatens Florida. Marines, engineers, medics and specialists, including Army and RAF personnel, have been deployed in the region. The Ministry of Defense said their priority was establishing security and law and order before providing humanitarian assistance before the arrival of Hurricane Jose. Irma was at one time the most powerful hurricane ever recorded in the open Atlantic, with a peak wind speed of 185 miles per hour last week. This marks the first year on record the continental U.S. has had two Category 4 hurricane landfalls in the same year.